Okay, guys, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Now, fasten your seatbelts. Here we go. All right, guys, I'm here, you're here. Let's start. It's Monday, January 27th, and it's 10:04 p.m. Eastern Time, and I am hoping to get to more than one video tonight, but I'm going to take it in order. I'm doing the most important one first, get that out of the way, and then see what we have time for after that. All right, let's jump in. I'd like to say the water's fine, but it's not. And I have a bunch of people to thank because it's been several days since I've done a video in which I can thank people. So even though this one is a video on one topic, which is the coronavirus, we are going to, at the end, thank those people because it makes this channel possible. There's no advertising on this channel. I have been demonetized because of the subject matter. And so, yeah, your donations help a lot. So anyway, I want to indeed thank those people, but I'm going to do it at the end and jump in here. Now, I know I've already done a couple videos on this, but it is a very fluid situation. It's constantly changing and there's constantly new information, but you really have to search for it just among all the propaganda that's being put out by the Chinese government. So let's jump in here, and I think you will find this very interesting tonight. I'm hoping. That's the goal anyway. All right, so this is the first video. Now, many of you have heard about this. Bill Gates warned in 2018 that new disease could kill 30 million people in 6 months. Interesting. Well, let's take a look at this. Microsoft founder Bill Gates predicted in 2018 that a new disease could kill 30 million people in 6 months, while his foundation posted a simulation showing an epidemic spreading from China, which is currently facing a grave situation to handle the accelerating speed of the deadly coronavirus. In a December 2018 report, the Business Insider cited Gates as saying that the world is not prepared for pandemics amid an increase in the population and environmental degradation. He claimed the small, non-state actor even had the ability to build a deadlier form of smallpox in a lab environment. Touching upon the fact that people have the ability to travel across the globe in a matter of hours in our day, Gates said that a new outbreak like SARS could kill some 30 million people in 6 months. Isn't it interesting that back in 2018 he said a new outbreak like SARS? Well, what is the coronavirus? It is a SARS-like virus. Could kill some 30 million people in 6 months. In the case of biological threats, that sense of urgency is lacking, Gates said, adding that countries need to prepare for pandemics in the same serious way they prepare for war. Chinese President Xi Jinping held a Politburo meeting on Saturday to discuss means to fight the coronavirus outbreak, which he said is accelerating its spread and the country is facing a grave situation. The central Chinese city of Wuhan, where 41 people were reported dead, remains under lockdown to prevent the spread of disease. Now, we know that there's not any chance at all that there are only 41 people. And of course, this is old by now because it's like, really, by the time the news gets out, it's already old. The situation is extremely fluid and changing rapidly, as we see by the fact that there are more and more and more cities being quarantined, and there's countries that have shut their borders off entirely to China. So, yeah, this isn't, even if there were, let's just say there's 100 dead. Let's just say, because that's what they're saying, right? Well, would you really do all that? Would you close down all the stores, and would you close down the train stations and the airport and all that for so few people? I mean, China has a massive, massive population. That's not a lot of people. Now, one is too many. We don't want anybody to die of this. Of course not. But I'm saying that this is a little overkill, like possibly burning down your house to get rid of a fly. So we know that logically it doesn't make any sense at all and we're being lied to. We know that. Just logic alone dictates that. So let's go back now, keeping in mind that Bill Gates, back in 2018, said a new disease could kill 30 million people in 6 months, a new SARS-like disease. So interesting. Is he a prophet? Well, it's easy to be a prophet when you are engaging in self-fulfilling prophecy. If you know what's going to happen, you're not a prophet. You're just someone who has advanced knowledge. And I think that would be the case here. Now, let's go back here, and we've got some interesting things. Let's look at this. Now, some of you drew my attention to this because I was not even aware of this, and let's just take a look here. All right. Theoretical coronavirus simulation predicted 65 million deaths in uncontrolled outbreak. Now, let's take a look at this. In late 2019, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation co-hosted a pandemic exercise that simulated a global coronavirus outbreak. Wow! Isn't that weird how they did a simulation just a few months ago on an uncontrollable coronavirus outbreak? Again, is he a prophet? He must be. All hail, Bill Gates. No, it's self-fulfilling prophecy. When you know what you're about to bring on society, yeah, you can predict that. It's like saying, oh, see that empty lot over there? There's a grocery store going in there, but you're actually the one that's going to be building the grocery store there. And people say, then when it's built, people can look and say, what? You're a prophet. No, I knew it was going up because I was the one building it. Yeah, so there you go. Now, the findings are extremely disturbing in light of the current Wuhan coronavirus outbreak. Yeah, disturbing is an understatement. But it could give us a look at what could happen during a worst case situation, which I think we're in right about now. I want to stress that we had no idea of knowing how serious the current Wuhan outbreak may become. The purpose of the article is strictly to look at the results of the Event 201 simulation, or event, I don't know, I guess they're just calling it Event 201 simulation. That was a worst case scenario simulation. It was not looking at the current Wuhan outbreak, but instead a theoretical outbreak of an uncontrolled coronavirus outbreak. Yeah. Do you not find that a little bit scary? Because we know that when they're running simulations, gee, it just seems to happen. The very thing that they're training for just seems to happen. Why is that? The simulation, titled Event 201 Pandemic, the pandemic exercise, dropped participants right in the midst of an uncontrolled coronavirus outbreak that was spreading like wildfire out of South America to wreak worldwide havoc. In the simulation, the CAPS, the coronavirus, resulted in a death toll of 65 million people within 18 months, according to Johns Hopkins University. Science and scholar Eric Toner, who helped run the simulation, said in an interview on Friday with the business news channel CNBC that China's efforts to contain the current outbreak of a fast-moving upper respiratory illness are unlikely to be effective. Why are they unlikely to be effective? Well, first of all, the virus, you could be asymptomatic for 2 weeks and out there spreading it everywhere, not even knowing you're infected. And that's a big issue. Number two, there's a lot of residents, before they closed down Wuhan, there's many residents that were traveling worldwide. So a great many of the inhabitants of Wuhan had already left because it was a Chinese New Year, and that is the biggest travel time. It's holiday time there. It would be like our Thanksgiving or Christmas, really. It's a huge deal there. Everybody travels, everybody spends time with family and so forth. So it could not have happened at a worse time. And the efforts to contain it, really at this point are moot because the horse has gotten out of the barn. You can lock the door now, but it's not going to change anything. And it's already spreading exponentially to other countries. So, scientists and scholars, okay, hang on here, we read that. Toner told Business Insider during an interview that he hadn't completed research on the current strain of the Wuhan coronavirus known as 2019 nCoV, but claimed that the death toll could run in the millions if the virus were resistant to modern vaccines and was as easy to catch as the common flu. Actually, it's easier to catch than the common flu. And the other thing is there are no vaccines for this. Now, they're developing one quickly. They're hoping to have it available within 6 months. But is that enough time to test a vaccine? I don't want to be a guinea pig, to tell you the truth, because a vaccine could be more deadly than the actual coronavirus. I don't know. But there you go. So, beyond the deaths, the simulation was focused on how society could collapse. Toner said that his coronavirus simulation was not just focused primarily on the number of deaths, it was to point out that there could be societal and economic consequences for a severe pandemic, not just health consequences. And yes, I mean, you look at China right now and, you've got over 50 million people quarantined. That's unprecedented. It's never happened in the history of the earth where you've got that many people quarantined. And this isn't just stay at home people. This is, you get fined if you have your car out on the road at all. You can't take your car anywhere. You must stay home. There are markets available now. And to me, from what I'm seeing, is they are getting them stocked. So I think that situation seems to be, from my understanding, under control right now. But they've blocked off the roadways. Nobody can leave. Nobody can enter. But it seems to be an ever widening sphere of containment. It just keeps growing. And you can't put the entire country of China on lockdown because right now in those places that are locked down, there's a few grocery stores open and corner stores, but there's no gas stations open. There's no, no entertainment. The shops are closed. No dress shops, shoe shop, whatever. It's closed. There's no businesses open. People aren't going to work. So yeah, it's going to have a huge economic impact. Massive. Just last week, the Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security, the World Economic Forum, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation called for joint action and said that the next severe pandemic will not only cause great illness and loss of life, but could also trigger major cascading economic and societal consequences that could contribute greatly to global impact and suffering. Now, you think about the fact that they've been wanting to bring in this new world order for a very long time. And what better way to do it? Because, a pandemic can bring down the world's population, which makes it easier to control. And, the world will have to band together to fight a common enemy, this coronavirus. I don't know. And then if the economy collapses, well, who knows what could happen? Not fear porn, just logically thinking this through. Not saying that any of those things will happen, but they could happen. And regardless, this coronavirus is not going to be arrested and stopped because you've got all these health professionals saying it's too late. It's out of control. It's out of control already. So here you go. The organizations jointly proposed the following. Governments, international organizations, and businesses should plan now for how essential corporate capabilities will be utilized during a large-scale pandemic. Industry, national governments, and international organizations should work together to enhance internationally held stockpiles of medical countermeasures, MCMs, to enable rapid and equitable distribution during a severe pandemic. Countries, international organizations, and global transportation companies should work together to maintain travel and trade during severe pandemics. Now, it's interesting because the transportation industries, because I had a little bit of stock in a transportation industry, and I noticed that it's just like tanking. And it was just steadily rising. And I thought, okay, this is good. Just keep my money there and it'll grow a little. But no, it tanked. So I know that this is already having an impact on, well, definitely on the stock market. It's a bloodbath in the stock market, except for some stocks like the bio, what do you call those? I don't know. I can't think of the word. Anyway, let's come down here. Countries, international, countries, international organizations, and global transportation companies should work together to maintain travel and trade during severe pandemics. Well, how do you maintain travel and trade when there's a pandemic? You know, I wouldn't want to be getting on an airplane right now. I'm just being honest. It would depend on where I was going. If I was going over anywhere close to China, or I would be very nervous about that. I would be wearing a mask, that's for sure. But anyway, global businesses should recognize the economic burden of pandemics and fight for a stronger preparedness. How do you prepare for a pandemic? Really? How? How do you prepare for that? I mean, you know, the only thing I can think of is getting a mask, that actually works, because those little masks that they use, they're not working. So things like that, getting food in, I don't know how else you prepare for a pandemic. You have to prepare yourself mentally, that's for sure, and emotionally and spiritually. International organizations should prioritize reducing economic impacts of epidemics and pandemics. Governments and private sectors should assign a greater priority to developing methods to combat mis- and disinformation prior to the next pandemic response. In other words, they want to control the narrative and control what information gets out. They don't want people knowing what's really happening, and we can see that right now. They're not concerned with keeping the world informed, are they? Doesn't seem that way to me. Seems like they're more concerned about keeping it under wraps. You know, they're threatening jail to people that upload to social media. Well, why? You would think that they'd want people to know what's happening so that they could contribute or help in some way. No, not in China. All right, let's get off of there. But I thought that was pretty interesting that they were running that. Not only in 2018 did Bill Gates say that, the chances for a pandemic, and then in 2019, he holds a drill for the very same situation we're facing now. What are the odds of that? All right, now all right. I almost hesitate to bring this to you, but somebody brought it to me, and I was thinking, oh my gosh, look at how many parts there are to this. I'm only going to play to you. There's a bunch of parts to it. I'm only going to play you a little bit because this was planned. It was planned, and I'm going to prove it to you. Hopefully, I'll prove it to you. All right. Now, let's shut this here for it. Now, this man is talking about this meeting that I'm not sure if it was him or if it was his friend was at. It was like where they were discussing what was coming. Now, this was uploaded on February 24th, 2010. You can tell from the video, it's an old video. So imagine my surprise when I click on this and I'm hearing them describing the very same scenario we're facing right now, and that they had planned for this. This all in preparation to bring about their new world order. All right. One moment, please. This was up to here before I started. And then while I was, messing around, getting everything set up, I drank most of it. I wish that I could get those cats to bring me some more water, but they won't. They won't. It's all about them. That's the thing about cats. It's always about them. Even when it's not about them, it's about them. All right. I digress. I'll start it about here. I think it starts around 5 minutes, but it's not really long, but I want you to hear this. Well, it would help if I turned it up. Why is there no sound? Why, I ask you? Well, this is on. All right, let's try it. That's weird. Dang. I can't. Very, very strange. I'm not sure why this won't play. I may have to bring this to you at a later date. It certainly wasn't doing that before. Let me see if I can do this and bring up a fresh one, because I listened to this earlier. It was working fine. Now you can't hear the sound. Gee, I wonder if somebody messed with it, like maybe YouTube. I'm just saying. All right, it's important. That's why I want you to listen to this, but all right. Is this it? I don't understand why this is not. How strange is that? I hope you guys can hear me, because hang on here. I'm sorry. Yeah, that seems to be working. Desktop audio. Let me see here. Hang on. I don't know. Let's see if this will work. I don't know. Well, dang it. All right. Well, it's obviously not going to play for me, and I am perplexed. Yes, perplexed, because it was working just fine. Very odd indeed. All right. Well, don't know what that's all about, but basically what they were saying is they planned to start a virus in China that would spread to the whole world, and it would last 18 months, a year and a half. So, yeah. And I really wish I had that to play for you, but I will bring that to you at some point in the near future, because I'm not sure what's going on with that at all. So let's go here. We can just go on from there. And I do apologize for that. And this is interesting. What do you guys think about the Event 201 scenario that was made by Johns Hopkins Center for Health Security 3 months before the 2019 nCoV event? Okay, hang on. Let me make this a little bigger, because I know you tiny phone people can't see it. Event 201 simulates an outbreak of a novel zoonotic coronavirus transmitted from bats to pigs to people that eventually becomes efficiently transmissible from person to person, leading to a severe pandemic. Boy, that sounds familiar. When have I heard that? Yes, it's happening now. The pathogen and the disease it causes are modeled largely on SARS, but it is more transmissible in the community setting by people with mild symptoms. The disease starts in pig farms in Brazil, quietly and slowly at first, but then it starts to spread more rapidly in healthcare settings. When it starts to spread efficiently from person to person in the low-income, densely packed neighborhoods of some of the megacities in South America, the epidemic explodes. It is exported by air travel to Portugal, the United States, and China, and then to many other countries, although at first some countries are able to control it, continues to spread and be reintroduced, and eventually no country can maintain control. There is no possibility of a vaccine being available in the first year. There is a fictional antiviral drug that can help the sick, but not significantly limit spread of the disease. Since the whole human population is susceptible during the initial months of the pandemic, pandemic, the cumulative number of cases increases exponentially, doubling every week. And as the cases and number accumulate, the economic and societal consequences become increasingly severe. The scenario ends at the 18-month point with 65 million deaths. The pandemic is beginning to slow due to the decreasing number of susceptible people. The pandemic will continue at some rate until there is an effective vaccine or until 80 to 90% of the global population has been exposed. From that point on, it is likely to be an endemic childhood disease. Now, says Strange, though they uploaded the video in November, a month before the first person got infected, this is their official channel. The video is just their recap. They have 5 full hours of this conference, problem solving how to control the power of information, as well as remarkably identical attributes to this current Wuhan virus. I don't want to fearmonger, but come on. And no media has mentioned this. Keep in mind, all the news footage and everything they are saying is scripted. It is all a scenario that they filmed. This is not them talking about Wuhan virus. This is a fictitious virus called CAPS. So, a little odd. All right. Now, I'm not going to read through all that, but let's go back because we've got lots to get through here. And BNO Newsroom, breaking: Mongolia closes border with China, shuts down schools, and bans public gatherings in an effort to prevent coronavirus. That from the state media. Do you think if there was just like 100 or so people dead, do you really think a country would just shut its borders? That would be like, I don't know, it's in it's in Canada too, so, but it would be like if Canada was free of it, and there was a few cases in the United States, us shutting our whole border down. I mean, that's a pretty serious measure. All right. Cambodia has confirmed its first case of coronavirus. The country's health minister has announced, so it's now in Cambodia. First case of coronavirus confirmed in Sri Lanka. The Chinese female has arrived from Hubei province in China. Now I've heard, whether this is true or not, so I don't want to spread rumors, but I've heard now that there are 6 in Sri Lanka that have it. If that's not true, at least we know that it is 1. So the virus is confirmed to be in Sri Lanka. Kyrgyzstan has closed its borders to China. So there's another country closing its border to China. And let's look at this. Wuhan mayor admits withholding information about outbreak. Scientists fear 100,000 have already been infected. Well, I tend to think that it's probably higher than that. The delay in communication has meant more than 5 million people traveled out of the city before it was placed in quarantine. And where did those 5 million people go? That's a lot of people, possibly all over the world. Could be in other parts of China, could be anywhere. Mayor of Wuhan, the epicenter of the deadly coronavirus outbreak, has admitted that his administration withheld information that would have conveyed the seriousness of the situation earlier. I'm just checking to see, because that sound issue is perplexing me, but it seems to be recording all right. So, I don't know. All right. Yeah, he withheld information that would have conveyed the seriousness of the situation earlier. And when, as you know, time is everything in a situation like this. Xu Xianwang probably massacred that. So let's call him ZX. The mayor of Wuhan, a city of 11 million people in central China, where the virus was first detected last month, said his team had not released information about the virus in a timely manner and appeared to pin the blame on the same for the same on the county's central government. Speaking to Chinese state broadcaster CCTV, Shen Wang, 56, addressed the widespread allegations that he had covered up the truth regarding the pandemic and said his government had needed authorization from above his station before they could make any announcement regarding the virus. On one hand, we did not reveal information timely, he said. On the other, we did not use effective information to improve our work to a satisfactory level regarding the untimely disclosure. I hope everyone can understand coronavirus is a contagious disease. Contagious diseases have relevant law and information needs to be disclosed according to law. He went on to reveal the restrictions he and his government had faced, preventing him from revealing the crucial information faster, with the delay meaning that around 5 million residents had left the city before it was placed into lockdown on January 23rd. As a local government, after I receive the information, I can only release it after being authorized. Many people could not understand this at the time, he said, before stating that he and the Communist Party secretary were willing to resign from their position if it meant earning the public's forgiveness. Yeah, well, that's not very helpful. You know, firing the people that did it. How is that helping anything? You know, and whether or not the public forgives them, the situation is what the situation is. As a local government, after I received the information, okay, so we just read that. And this is what they're still saying. The virus so far has killed 81 people. It's killed 81 people, and it's traveled virtually around the world. I mean, it's in the U.S., it's in Canada, it's in France, it's in UK, Sri Lanka, Cambodia. I mean, it's all over. But just 81 people have died. Right. Yeah, countries usually just shut down because of 81 people dying. The rapid spread of the virus has seen China take drastic measures to contain the epidemic, including suspension of plane, train, and bus links to Wuhan that was quickly followed by a complete lockdown of the city. That lockdown has since been expanded to 17 cities with about 56 million residents. And at the end of the Lunar New Year holiday, China's busiest travel season has been pushed back, reduce mass gatherings, and block the spread of the epidemic. Nothing at this point is going to make any difference. It might slow it down just a little bit, but it's like slowing down a speeding train. You know, not easy to do. Despite these measures, the virus has found itself moving across continents, with cases reported in Thailand, Taiwan, Japan, Vietnam, Singapore, the US, Canada, Australia, Malaysia, Nepal, and France. And there's others now on the list. Cambodia. Not sure if Mongolia has seen any cases or not yet, but there's a lot. And Sri Lanka, that they have it now too. So very quickly, it's racing around the globe. It really is. Now, of course, it's easier to contain it if there's just a few, like in Canada right now, there's just a few, but we have a massive, massive Chinese population. So how many of them traveled back and forth? We don't know. We don't know how many people have been exposed yet. Same with the US. You don't know. Because remember when I said I think it was the last video that I did about this, I said there was a plane from Wuhan going to San Francisco, and now there are reports of people that have become sick in San Francisco. I mean, I don't understand. It's like somebody's doing this on purpose. Maybe I'm just too much of a conspiracy theorist, but that's the way it appears to me. All right, let's go back now. So 12 people, 9 of them Chinese, have been hospitalized in suspicion of the coronavirus in Turkey. So it's spreading. Taiwan, suspending all entry points or entry permit applications, visa applications for Chinese citizens, even for those living abroad. So you're not going to be allowed into Taiwan If you are applying for a visa and you're Chinese, it doesn't even matter if you're Chinese and living in Canada or the US, you're not going to be allowed into Taiwan. They're taking it seriously. Now, are they taking it seriously because of 81 deaths? No. They're taking it serious because they know what's really happening. All right. Now, 2 presumptive confirmed cases and 19 cases under investigation in Ontario. Of course, that's Ontario, Canada. There are 2 confirmed cases in Toronto. There are 19 cases being investigated so far, or that's what we're being told. Not that we're ever told the truth, but all right. Nurse and medical and army personnel, you need to have a breathing apparatus specific to stop the size, nanometers of this virus. It's been made so only a space suit will prevent you from getting it. Nanometer size virus. Still don't believe it's man-made? Of course it's man-made. And of course, this is telling us that, let me make it bigger here. I can't even read it. So how can you tiny phone people read it? Coronavirus virions are spherical, 120 to 160 nanometers in diameter, with an outer envelope bearing 20 nanometers long club-shaped projections that collectively resemble a crown of the solar corona. So yeah, the little particles are so teeny tiny they can get through a mask. You need a special mask. What that special mask is, I don't know, but this person is saying that only, excuse me, a yawn just tried to take over my whole face. But yeah, they're saying only a spacesuit would prevent it. I don't know how true that is, but I know that the masks aren't being effective because people are catching it who are wearing masks. So it's just not being effective. All right, let's go here. Can't remember what this is, but it must be good. Oh, I don't know. That I want to keep, but not in this one. I don't know how that worked its way into. Hang on here. Where are we? All right, that we got to save for another video. Okay, Los Angeles Times health officials have confirmed. My gosh, I was going to yawn again. Some of you yawned. I know it. Health officials have confirmed the first cases of the new strain of coronavirus in Los Angeles and Orange counties brought by travelers who came from the epicenter of the outbreak in Wuhan, China. So California's first 2 cases of coronavirus are confirmed. So, not a good place for it to strike anywhere in California because of the homeless situation. Imagine. All right. French citizens to be evacuated from Wuhan by airplane. Now, France is removing their people. The US is removing their people. Canada, yeah. All right. Okay, this doesn't seem like it's the right story, but let's click on it and see. Yes. Yeah, this is trouble. A Chinese nurse revealed the facts about the Wuhan virus. And it says, nurse, everyone in the world will now reveal you the current truth regarding the Wuhan virus. Currently, there are 90,000 people. She's speaking in Chinese, so that's why we have to translate. Currently, there are 90,000 people who are infected from the Wuhan virus. If one person gets infected by the Wuhan virus, where are these yawns coming from? And is not treated properly, that infected person will spread the virus to at least 14 other people. I hope that people do not go outside during the Chinese New Year. We need to let everyone know that currently the Wuhan virus has developed a second mutation. This is serious. If the second generation of mutation develops, the virus will not only affect will not affect only one person, but everyone around that person too, at least 10 people, and those people will be contaminated with the mutation too. Once again, I urge you, please do not go outside and do not eat outside. And I had watched that with, and it says she's putting her life on the line to reveal this. The Chinese government said that only a few hundred of people were affected, but it was all lies. The nurse has revealed the truth, and China lied once again to the whole world. Do they think that this is a joke? No, they just don't want their country to look bad because it's all about them. They said they wouldn't. I don't know what that says, actually. All right, well, we're going to go on because we've got too much to get to hover long. And we're going to come down here. It says, this is a screenshot from a group chat of medical workers inside the Wuhan quarantine zone. They discuss how bodies are being cremated without autopsies being performed to determine whether the deceased had the virus to prevent them from being included in the overall death toll. So if somebody dies primarily because what happens is they develop pneumonia with this virus and they die of pneumonia, which is how most deaths are happening, then they're not counted because they say they died of pneumonia. They don't say, oh, they died of coronavirus. Second of all, these people that die are cremated immediately, which they would need to do because the body's infected, right? So it's not being counted in the official count, and they're getting rid of the body so quickly. There's no autopsy done. Yeah. So, and I've heard several people from Wuhan discussing the same thing, that they're just cremating people. In fact, they're picking up the dead from the street and immediately cremating them. So, yeah. All right. Now, let's get into this. Urgent. Voice message from a medical staff in Wuhan. There are more than 100,000 infected. People are dying right in front of our eyes. Don't ever trust the government. We are on our own. So this is a voice message from medical staff in Wuhan. And you have to realize, too, that these people are risking their lives to get this information out because if they're caught, they will be imprisoned. So, all right, let's go back now. And let's look at this, shall we? All right, now, stop yawning. You're making me yawn. Someone out there is yawning. Who is it? I see you. All right, Wuhan coronavirus pandemic bioengineered. Who's behind it? And why now? And why China? And it says Operation Corona Bioterror, a complex psyop perpetrated to distract and force mandatory vaccinations and coerce China to comply with American demands. I don't know about that. I think that's taking it a bit too far, if you ask me. I'm just saying. But everything points to biowarfare. That's true. Being used against China by the Western powers, which seek to contain her growing power and influence in the world, that could be true. But do I believe that it's the white hats that are doing this? No, it's the deep state. Now, I don't know. Could the United States be involved? Well, seeing what we've seen from the deep state, yeah, it could be. I don't know who is doing this and who is behind it, but it's obviously the globalists. It's obviously the cabal who want to bring about a new world order. What better way to do it? Given the multiple and serious woes that China has suffered from during 2019, it comes as no surprise that the Western powers could now resort to bioweaponry. I have an issue with this because it's all, this is just specter. There doesn't seem to be a lot based on facts here, and that's what we want to avoid. It says if there's one last hit to the economy that China doesn't need right now, it's a global pandemic that supposedly originated in Wuhan, the sprawling capital of central China's Hubei province. See how Wuhan is located right in the center of China's highly productive southeast region, the economic powerhouse of the nation? See, yes, it is. But there's also the fact that, was it Winnipeg, that the RCMP, they caught some Chinese nationals that were working in a lab in Canada, basically, I think that they were exporting this virus to China. I don't know, because it's very hard to get real information in Canada. Yeah, it's almost like living in a communist country. Really, it is. But anyway, I don't know exactly what happened there, but there's a lot of speculation, which is something we want to avoid. But they obviously did something to be escorted out of Canada by the RCMP. So, yeah. All right. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to, because there's too much speculation there. We don't know. We don't know it was the United States. We don't know who it was. We know it was, someone that's trying to bring about a new world order. So it's obviously someone of the globalist persuasion, or it could be, although I doubt this, it could have just escaped the lab. But why back in 2010 were they talking about this very same thing? Why in 2018 did Bill Gates say, there's a potential for a pandemic of a SARS-like virus? And then in 2019, they prepare for just the same scenario that we're facing now, except then it started in Brazil. Here, it started in China, because probably if they had started it in China, might be a little bit too obvious. I mean, it's pretty obvious, but all right, let's go back. And I can't remember what this is, but it's got to be something good. All right. Yes. Here you go. You knew it. You knew it before I even told you about it, I bet. Soros, I bet you knew it even if you didn't know it. Somewhere inside, you knew he had to be involved. Soros. Soros is invested in a biotech lab in Wuhan, and it is located on a 666 address. Wuxi Pharmatech Inc. 666, a road that I can't pronounce, Road East Lake High Tech Development, Zone Wuhan, 430075 China. Yep. And here is the company. Wuxi, I believe you pronounce, Advanced Therapies. Yep. And it says proof Soros is financially involved in Wuxi. Well, yes, there is proof. Yes, indeed. Now, not sure how to tell from this, though. Let's click on this and see if we can glean a little bit more information. China Princeling Fund execs spin out under new name to seek US dollars 500 million. Boyu raise quiet US dollars 2 billion. And let me see if we can find, let me search for Soros. Here we go. Boyu's first United States dollar fund raised $1 billion in US dollars in 2011 with investors including Singapore's sovereign wealth fund, Temasek, an investment fund of Li Ka-shing, and funds of George Soros, as reported. There you go, people. Not saying that company is involved in this, but it's interesting. No. I think it's very interesting. Fascinating, in fact. The Wuxi location in Wuhan on a 666 address, Wuxi Aptech Wuhan Small Molecule Drug Discovery and Research Services, 666 Gao. I don't know how to pronounce that, and I'm not going to, because then you'll laugh at me. But this is it right here. And it's very, very close by to the epicenter. Not saying it's involved. Just interesting. An interesting observation. That's all. Now, let's come over here. Now, this is getting into the whole Canada connection, and there is a connection. Did China steal coronavirus from Canada and weaponize it? That's a good question. Or did somebody else weaponize it? I don't know. Last year, a mysterious shipment was caught smuggling coronavirus from Canada. It was traced to Chinese agents working at a Canadian lab. Subsequent investigations by Great Game India linked the agents to Chinese biological warfare program from where the virus is suspected to have leaked, causing the Wuhan coronavirus outbreak. And it says on June 13th, 2012, a 60-year-old Saudi man was admitted to a private hospital in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, with a 7-day history of fever, cough, expectoration, and shortness of breath. He had no history of cardiopulmonary or renal disease, was receiving no long-term medications, and did not smoke. Egyptian virologist Dr. Ali Mohammed Zaki isolated and identified a previously unknown coronavirus from his lungs after routine diagnostics failed to identify the causative agent. Zaki contacted Ron Faucier, a leading virologist at the Aramis Medical Center in Rotterdam, the Netherlands, for advice. Faucier sequenced the virus from a sample sent by Zaki. Faucier used a broad-spectrum pan-coronavirus real-time polymerase, a chain reaction, RT-PCR method to test for distinguishing features of a number of known coronaviruses known to infect humans. This coronavirus sample was acquired by scientific director Dr. Paul Plummer of Canada's National Microbiology Laboratory in Winnipeg, directly from Faucier, who received it from Zaki. The virus was reportedly stolen from the Canadian lab by Chinese agents. That's what I've been hearing. The coronavirus arrived at Canada's Winnipeg facility on 4th of May, 2013 from the Dutch lab. The Canadian lab grew up stocks of the virus and used it to assess diagnostic tests being used in Canada. Winnipeg scientists worked to see which animal species can be infected with the new virus. Research was done in conjunction with the Canadian Food Inspection Agency's national lab, the Canadian Centre for Foreign Animal Diseases, which is housed in the same complex as the National Microbiology Lab. So, here it is. NML had a long history of offering comprehensive testing services for coronaviruses. It isolated and provided the first genome sequence of the SARS coronavirus and identified another coronavirus, NL63, in 2004. The Winnipeg-based Canadian lab was targeted by Chinese agents in what could be termed as biological espionage. In March 2019, in mysterious event, a shipment of exceptionally virulent viruses from Canada's NML ended up in China. Wonder how that happened. The event caused a major scandal, with biowarfare experts questioning why Canada was sending lethal viruses to China. Scientists from NML said that the highly lethal viruses were a potential bioweapon. Following investigation, the incident was traced to Chinese agents working at NML. 4 months later, in July 2019, a group of Chinese virologists were forcibly dispatched from the Canadian National Microbiology Laboratory. The NML is Canada's only level 4 facility and one of only a few in North America equipped to handle the world's deadliest diseases, including Ebola, SARS, coronavirus, etc. The NML scientist who was escorted out of the Canadian lab along with her husband, another biologist, and members of her research team is believed to be a Chinese biowarfare agent whose name that there's no hope of me ever being able to pronounce. Q, let's just call her Q, not the Q. AQ, was the head of the vaccine development and antiviral therapy section in the special pathogens program at Canada's NML. Q is an outstanding Chinese scientist born in Tianjin. She primarily received her medical doctorate degree from Hubei Medical University in China in 1985 and came to Canada for graduate studies in 1996. Later on, she was affiliated with the Institute of Cell Biology and Department of Pediatrics and Child Health of the University of Manitoba, Winnipeg, not engaged with studying pathogens. But a shift took place somehow. Since 2006, she's been studying powerful viruses in Canada's NML. The viruses shipped from the NML to China were studied by her in 2014, for instance, together with the viruses Machupo, Junin, Rift Valley fever, Crimean Congo hemorrhagic fever, and Hendra. Dr. Q is married to another Chinese scientist. Dr. Keding Cheng is also affiliated with the NML. So I don't think I need to go through all this. They sent it to China. They are no longer welcome in Canada. So there you go. I don't think we need to go into all of this, but as always, my links are available. I upload them to Patreon, so they will be there. But I suspect that is where it came from. But again, so much is unknown. Okay, let's go on. Now, let's look at this. Think of these poor people. If you have a Wuhan ID, even if you fled before the lockdown, you are still doomed. No hotels will allow you in. No petrol stations will sell gas to you. If you go to a Beijing hospital with a Wuhan ID, you will be pushed away. What can you do? Well, these people are kind of screwed, chewed, and barbecued because I don't know what you'd do. I really don't, because you certainly wouldn't want to go back in to where you came out of. I don't know. I feel horrible for these people, and they really, really need our prayers. All right, let's look at this now. And I'm just bringing this stuff up to show you that I'm not just pulling this stuff out of my hinder parts. It's out there. Quick burials and lack of tests raise fears coronavirus outbreak is much bigger than China admits. Well, of course. The corpse of Chen Ming was wrapped in a yellow body bag with tape when it was delivered to the funeral home by workers in hazmat suits. The staff disinfected the van they traveled in and disposed of protective gear. Despite being pressured into a quick cremation by authorities, the grieving family did not know if the 65-year-old had died from the novel coronavirus sweeping China, and they still don't. Official figures estimate that 41 people have died so far and 1,300 have been infected, but experts at Imperial College reckon that as many as 9,700, well, now it's up to 100,000 is what they suspect. And the swift disposal of Ms. Chen's body raises further questions about the scale of the problem. And of course, I can't read any further because I don't have a, what do you call it? Yeah, one of them. But that is the problem. Number one, they're not counting those who die of pneumonia, even though the pneumonia was caused by the coronavirus. They're not counting those. And they're cremating people who die, and they don't know what they died of. And I found that I read somewhere that they're out of testing kits, so they can't even test for it. So how can they confirm that somebody has a coronavirus if they don't have any test kits left for it? I'm just saying. All right, let's go back. Look what time it is. My gosh, I've been yapping flapping my gums for how long now? A long time. Okay. And let's look at this. Can't remember what it is, but it's something good. I can just feel it. Oh, yes, this actually really, really touched me. It says heartwarming. Residents chant Wuhan Jiayu for their city to hold on despite adversity. And apparently it means, that's what it means, hold on. So let's listen to this. I think this is so awesome. These people are trapped in their homes. I mean, they can go out, but they're not encouraged to unless for food or whatever. But, okay. Let's take this. Very, very odd. It's not working. There's something up with my sound, and I'm hoping that the sound is going to be all right on this, because I will scream a very loud scream if I upload this and it has no sound, because that will make me angry. Not at you, at me. Okay. So let's come down here. And it says, Egypt suspends tourism trips from China due to coronavirus outbreak. And the last, but not the least, lab-made coronavirus triggers debate. The creation of a chimeric SARS-like virus has scientists discussing the risks of gain-of-function research. Now, I don't think that this is all that important in the grand scheme of things to look at. I'm going to skip this if you don't mind, but I'll leave the link there for you. If you want to look this up, follow through my links and look up this stuff for yourself, you're more than welcome to. And with that, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to thank the people I need to thank and then get on to the next video. So let's go back here and thank these very, very kind people, because this is what makes it all possible. So coffee donators, I don't know why I do that. They're not donators, they're donors. My gosh, I've got a master's degree in English. You'd never know, would you? Mark and Diane, thank you, Mark and Diane. Gigi, Angela, Red Rum, I've seen that name in the comments lots. Rachel from the UK, Janine, Nels, I think that's Nels Anderson from Denmark, Teresa Crosscup, Anon, Barb B from Cincinnati, I believe that is Barb B from Cincinnati, if I'm not mistaken, Sandy Morris, Anon, another Anon, Ursa Bruin, Brian C, Chick Chick, well, that's a unique name, Chick Chick, Auntie Joe, Bitten 6510, Maya S, and Small Town. Thank you guys so much. Very, very kind of you, and it does make this possible, especially since there's no advertising. So it helps a lot, and picked up some new Patreon supporters over the last few days. Linda Freer, Lucky increased her pledge, Ricky Roderick, and Lori A. Cook. I laughed at that, you know, what do they call that? You know, oh, I'm telling you, my mind is dying a slow and painful death. What is that? What's that called when it's a moniker. Moniker, that's the name I was looking for. So thank you guys. No snail mail today or over the last few days, but that's all right. Thank you guys so much for contributing, and thank you guys for leaving comments, and your kind words and encouragement is very, very much appreciated. So let's end it there, and I will get on to the next one in case, or, you know, if I upload this and it has no sound, then you will probably hear a very faint scream, and that will be me, because I will scream very loudly. All right. Let's call it quits for that, and I'll get on to the next one, and you can't stop me. All right, guys. You guys take care. Stay safe. Stay blessed. Keep seeking truth. You know it. Deception bites.